Hey there guys, so I'm back with another video. So today I want to talk about cars and how, cars are important in our daily lives. So without any further ado, before I get into the importance of cars, I'd like to first give you a little backstory. So I myself had a car, and the first car I ever had was around 2015, if I'm right. So around there, I had a first Ford. It was a Ford Focus, a black one. And, at the time, I got it very spontaneously. I wasn't thinking about the long term wise. So, because I was sort of tired of catching the bus, given the fact that I live quite a distance from the town centre and the university at the time, I was just sick and tired of, public transport. I was using it, from primary school, secondary school, college. And by the time I was in university, I sort of did have that rebel side within me. And, that was caused because of, at that time as well, I was, going through a bit of health issues. So I was sort of in and out of the hospital every other month, and things were getting thick in all senses. So I got my first car around that time, and it didn't last long until, it was clamped and it was completely covered with all sorts of parking tickets. So because, I didn't take complete care of it, not the legal way anyways, and, I just dumped it in some road, and over a few months it accumulated so many tickets. I paid a bit of the fine, it racked up well over thousands, and, I did learn from it. So, anyways, that was, the wild days. And then after that, I actually got a Audi after that, a BMW, a Skoda, a Peugeot, several cars, and that was within the, I'd say, from 2015-ish to 2020, around within a 5 or 6 year span. I'm sure there was several cars. But anyways, cars are very important, and back in the old day, our traditions, no matter where your background is, for example, here in the UK, they did used to use horses, buggies to get around and things like that. And with the evolutionary and the technology, it basically made transport easy. And back in the days, people that were riding horses and stuff, horses are like animals. They've got a body, functioning heart, whatnot. So you can't say you can, of course, use that for the next 10 years or something. So your vision of the longevity of your, well, I can't even say a choice of, transport, but the only option that you had, the longevity wouldn't be that long. So with the revolution, and new inventions coming around, the engine being figured out. So I don't know which was figured out first, the engine itself, like back in those days, I'm guessing around more than 100 years ago. So, the engine being figured out first, or was it something simple, put together with around three wheels? It could be either way, but nevertheless, it is a massive change to, our timeline in this existence here on Earth. So everywhere in the world now, they use cars and everything, and the only civilizations that don't have cars are the ones that are still living the same way our ancestors did, 100 years ago or plus. And although it is very expensive and it does cause, global warming, all this emission, and now I'm talking about the wider range of transport here. So not just a car, so all vehicles, buses, trains, and vans, lorries, and so forth. So they have added on to the quality of life that we're living in now, but they have affected us in some sense as well. And that's not to mention the youth nowadays, like they drive at fast pace. They just step down, and whether it's a shitty car, the old versions, models, or if it's the new sort of Lamborghini, the fast cars, Ferraris, They just like to enjoy themselves and they go all out, and it's caused a lot of tragic deaths and stuff like that. So it has brought its own sort of dilemma and risk with it as well. So in a in the bigger way, if I have a look at it, has cars contributed and changed the world in a better way? Definitely, it's changed the world in a better way, and it's made everything easier now. For example, I can just go to the shop, get whatever I want, put in the boot back home, and I wouldn't have to go through all that struggle of carrying the load, walking all the way, depending on how far you live as well from the place. And that's in all senses. So if I go to a restaurant, if I was to go out with my friends, whatever I'm doing, everything nowadays is literally car based, and it has made us sort of lazy as well. So a lot of the people are not walking nowadays. I'll just give you a small vision, small sort of, all the way there, you see all those cars parked over there, you see nobody walking here. Literally, that is a quick sort of explanation itself. So everyone is coming in cars wherever they go. When they're leaving, they jump back in it, they park up at home or wherever spot they're going to next. And it just made everyone sort of, it's making agoraphobic more, easier. And, even though you can socialize in the car, plan more, it is making people more, less social in a way. So I'm still doing the old school way of, walking around, and the times when I'm not walking around, I do, of course, have a car that, I ride in with my friends. My friends come pick me up, for example, and, family car, not my car, but of course, just a passenger guy for now. But yeah, everything is literally car based now, man. And it'll be, of course, very nice to see more activity. Like, for example, if there was no cars now, people would just be walking, will be able to meet new people, much easier. So wherever you go, like, people are literally in buildings and then they leave and then they completely disappear. Like, there's no trace of them. They leave, they're in a car, you don't know what car, and they're gone within a few seconds. So life has become sort of closed, people are just indoors. You can also classify being inside a car indoors as well. So it has sort of made us more closed off, and the same way as social media has affected us. So everything, the revolutionary changes that are happening within the last, few decades or century is pushing us to being more socially isolated. Personally, I would like to, in the future sometime, get a car, first of all, get my license. That's what's standing in the way. And, because I've seen life, a lot from, my 2 feet. So wherever they take me is where I go nowadays. So because I am very experienced in that sense, I think having a car wouldn't be too bad for me now. So I would still need to balance it out. So something I've seen before is when I had those cars, when I was mentioning it at the start of the video, it was very secluded. Like, I do everything in the car, go home, do whatever I need to do. And, it's not that I gained weight, but it is very, of course, taxing in the sense as fuel is going up. Those times it was still expensive, but now, a decade later, goodness, it's skyrocketed. So it's, there's so much sort of, negative surrounding cars in a way, and risks as well, but there's positives as well. And because I've weighed it out myself, and I think I can, sort of do a healthy judgment, because like I said, I've been walking for a while now. If I was to get a car, I wouldn't, spend it on a, extravagant car, even though that's what's flashy nowadays and no one's going to look your way. But guess what? I don't care about judgment anymore. And even though I say that right now, there is that sense of, people giving you that look like, that's what you're pushing, that's what you're driving, I don't really care, but, we do tend to want the finer things in life, you know. But anyways, I will get a average car if I was to get a car now, and you know, of course, maintenance. I wouldn't do what they're doing nowadays, you know, the youth, you know, pimping out the cars, putting nice alloys in there. And, you know, it's all to attract the opposite sex. So girls that drive, of course, they like to make their cars all nice, custy. And even they actually like to drive supercars. Not the high end, but, you know, the typical Mercedes, BMWs. And I do understand it's not always to attract people, but if you're not going to attract people from the opposite sex, is to have that social, you know, status to, you know, bring yourself up, feel proud of yourself, and in a sense, that's all tied into, you know, judgment and wanting to appeal to, you know, the social public, you know, this, that. But because I've been analysing things from afar now, doing a slight bit of work on myself, I do feel that I could be, you know, more detached from social norms and what they think. So hopefully I'll be able to make a healthy decision. Who knows, you know, who knows where life takes me. And, you know, this is what I like to happen anyway. So we never know. But this is my sort of, you know, take on cars that have definitely made a significant change to the world and how we live. And in the future, there is, of course, these, not conspiracies, but concepts of new cars, where it just makes, you know, people more lazy, more, you know, flashy. Everyone is just chasing the highest sort of, it's just all dopamine based in a way. Like, wow, look at that car. All you do is you get in, you press a button, the doors close, and then you have no driver. You do this, the car runs around, you know. It's all so like, you know, the coolness of it, you know, the amount of money you've paid for it. There's so much, you know, stigma in all ways, like how people have become more lazy, how, you know, we've become more, you know, convenient based, and, you know, well, the world is getting, you know, more creative. People are becoming more creative, new inventions, companies are making money, people are getting more greedy, you know. So it does make sense how all these crazy concepts are, you know, surfacing, and it will only get worse. But who knows? The same way people viewed it 100 years ago, like the idea of having cars like something electric or just you know, a machine driving you around was wild to them. That sort of concept is still wild to us, like any sort of next level innovation to come. So who knows? We're literally in the middle transition. So there's a lot more to come. We've done quite a few, you know, sort of inventions, and let's sit back and view things from a healthy point of view for now anyways. And it's good to consider, you know, how things have changed, you know, looking at vehicles, you know, gadgets, mobile phones, like I've mentioned in videos before. So if you go back, you see my sort of take on social things, and I'll try to dissect that topic as well. But nevertheless, I will do another topic about mobile phones and, you know, just gadgets in general and how they've sort of innovated the space and made us, you know, who we are today. You know, that little click, 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 bloop. Yeah, that's got a way more stronger effect than cars. So I'll bring a lot more to that topic anyways. And this is my little take on it. But other than that, it is late evening here, so I will call it a vlog and end it right here. So if you haven't subscribed by now, please subscribe. And like I always do, silly old me, I always forget to mention at the start. So if you've reached this far into the video, let me know as well, so I know that people are engaged in the topics I'm talking about. And hit the subscribe and stuff, like, and enjoy your day. Take it easy and drive safely. Take care.